These trail camera images serve as a chilling reminder that the woods hide secrets, some of which might never fully be understood. Whether they capture strange creatures, restless spirits, or mere tricks of light, each one carries a sense of mystery that's quite hard to shake. Here are unexplained mysteries caught on trail cameras that still haunt scientists. Number 10. Alien caught on camera. In September 2024, this mysterious figure was caught on camera. Its movement activated the trail cam, and it appears to have a glowing body and an orb-shaped head. This is one of those eerie sightings that sends shivers right down your spine, especially with all the drone stuff happening. Is this an alien? The soft, otherworldly glow that it gives off only adds to its unsettling, odd appearance, making it seem as if it's straight out of a sci-fi nightmare. Its form seems definitely unnatural. That's not an animal for sure. Now, some say it is an optical illusion, possibly lens flare or a strange reflection off the lens, making it appear far larger than it actually is. Yet the way the light plays around its figure leaves many wondering, could it be something we can't explain? Or is it just another trick of the eye? Either way, the mysterious nature of this alien image still holds a creepy allure, leaving you to wonder if there's something more out there. Number 9. Ghost Woman. This photo comes to us from Brandon Cottrell. They say, quote, "When I was setting up the trail cameras that day, it felt like I wasn't alone outside." The eerie part is that a young woman went missing in this very area back in the late 80s, and despite years of searching, they've never found any remains. That history combined with this photo, remind me to never go in the woods again. I'm just gonna stay inside forever. We're good. It's hard not to imagine that whatever was out there that day could have been linked to the disappearance, as if something or someone has been watching the area for all of these years, just waiting for the right time to reveal itself. That was spooky. Sent shivers down my back reading that one. Whenever I do this with my hands, how you know it's real. Number 8. Ghost snake. What in the world is this? This strange figure zipped past the camera not once, but twice, leaving us all scratching our heads. It's completely unexplainable, especially considering it was caught in the middle of nowhere, deep in the upper Midwest. No one can figure out what it is or where it came from. The way it moved so quickly, so purposefully, has us questioning everything. Could it be something we've never seen before up until now? Or is there another explanation that we're missing? I can't figure it out. I can't even think about what animal this could be. Last I checked, electric eels don't fly, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I have a coffee bean or something stuck in my... something in there. It's right there. I feel it. Number 7. Montana Grim Reaper. This one comes from a user, and they say, "My grandpa lives in rural Montana, and one day one of his friends from town came into the local bar looking completely shaken. So my grandpa then said that he was in a state of shock almost. His face was as pale as a ghost. He was reluctant to show the photos at first, worried that people might think that he was losing his mind. More than fair. He owns a big piece of land and has trail cameras set up to track wildlife. That part's not weird. But when he went through the footage, that's when he found something quite odd. My grandpa's wife sent the photos to a nearby university for analysis, and to their surprise, the professor couldn't explain what they were looking at. So what do you think this is? Or who? Any ideas on what could be lurking? What are your best theories? Comment down below. Number 6. Chain Man. This user anonymously posted this photo online with an eerie backstory. They say, "My uncle set up a trail cam at my old grandparents' house, which is now abandoned." Abandoned, that's the key word here. The camera takes 3 photos every time it detects motion, but this strange figure only shows up in 1 of the 3 shots. They have no idea what it was. They say, "I'm not saying it's a ghost, though I don't really believe in that stuff. Hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but that's for sure a ghost. Either there's a man living there or there's a ghost living there. One of the two. Good game. Thanks for sharing."
Back in 2007, a security camera at the courthouse in Santa Fe caught something weird early in the morning around 7 a.m. On the footage, there's this glowing white thing, kind of round, kind of shapeless too, just drifting across the frame. It wasn't fast or anything, just sort of floating there. People online immediately started calling it a ghost. Obviously, what else are people gonna say? Well, some said it looked more like something out of phase with reality, like we were seeing a bleed through from somewhere else entirely. The way it moves doesn't look like a reflection or a glitch. It looks like it's there, just not in the way anything else usually is. Of course, the official explanation was that it was a bug walking across the lens, and sure, it could be that, but what do you think? Does it really look like a bug? People in different parts of the world have filmed what looks like 2 suns in the sky at the same time. one bright sun and then a second one that looks slightly smaller but still glowing like a legit celestial body. Naturally, a lot of people are pretty confused about this. Some folks say it's just a lens flare. Others say that nope, that was actually in the sky. So scientists have looked into it, like Jim Kaler, an astronomer from the University of Illinois, who says it's probably some kind of atmospheric optical illusion, light bending in weird ways because of moisture or temperature layers in the air, but even he is not 100% sure what the hell's going on. Mirages usually stack vertically, like one image above the other. This double sun thing is side by side, which makes a little less sense, so no one knows exactly what causes it. Grant Perry, another scientist, flat out said this is not a common optical phenomenon. So yeah, maybe it's just a weird trick of the light, or maybe we're seeing something that we can't even begin to comprehend. So this one is pretty wild. There's a CCTV clip that's become pretty well known for how downright bizarre it is. A guy is walking down the street at night. A second man enters the frame in front of him, at which point the first guy does something super weird. The guy in the back taps the dude in the front on the shoulder right as a car whizzes by and a metal object swings out as the guy in front is about to get swatted with it. If it weren't for the tap, he would have been hit, no question. The guy who does the tapping seems completely unfazed though. He's not panicking, he doesn't even look back to check if the car's about to hit him. How did he know what was about to happen? It's also strange because he doesn't even say anything. Doesn't stick around to be like, oh damn, wasn't that nuts? It's almost like he knew exactly what was going to happen and was just doing his part to stop it. And then he's out. Naturally, the internet lost its mind with theories. The most popular one, the guy giving the warning is a time traveler. Maybe he's from the future, maybe a version of the guy in front of him from a different reality, trying to make sure his past self doesn't die in a freak accident. Could this be a huge coincidence? Maybe, but maybe not. So this is some straight up NPC behavior, except in real life. So a guy in Omsk, Russia wakes up one morning and can't find his flock of sheep. Usually he expects to find them right where he left them, but not today. He goes out looking for them and to his surprise finds the entire flock of sheep standing on top of a roof. Now there's no obvious way for these sheep to get up there, no secret sheep elevator that we know of anyway. The man assumed they'd somehow gotten spooked by something and just climbed up the roof. How the hell do a bunch of sheep get up there without making a noise or causing a ruckus? It's like they just teleported to the top, like an NPC glitch in a video game randomly appearing on a roof. Next we have space orcs. Orcs standing for odd radio circles. So what are these? Well, they're actually what the name suggests, massive circular blobs in space that show up in radio telescope images. And no one really knows what they are. They were first discovered in 2020 when astronomers were mapping the sky using Australia's ASCAP radio telescope. These huge rings appeared out of nowhere, perfectly circular, massive in size, and didn't match anything scientists had seen before. They aren't galaxies, stars, supernova remnants, or anything that usually pops up in space surveys. Some scientists think they might be the result of huge explosions or collisions far, far away, cosmic shockwaves that left behind radio footprints we're just now seeing. But others think they could have something to do with galaxies which have active black holes at their centers. And then there's the more exciting possibility that orcs might be a sign of something completely new, some sort of phenomenon we just don't have a name for yet. Point is, for as much as we think we know, the world is a highly mysterious place. What you're looking at here is obviously police inspecting a crashed car, but this was no normal car. This is known as the Surrey ghost car case. On December 11th of 2002, multiple calls came into the police about a car swerving off the road and crashing into a ditch near an exit ramp in Surrey, England. Police show up, expecting to find a fresh crash and maybe help a driver in trouble, but they find something stranger. At first, the officers don't see anything unusual, it's just another crash site, but as they get closer, they spot this old, overgrown vehicle. And they do find the driver, but he's no longer alive, and hadn't been for a long time. And I don't mean hours, I mean months. It was the body of a man named Christopher Brian Chandler. He'd been missing for months. Based on the state of the car and the body, the police quickly determined the crash had happened 5 months earlier. back in July of the same year. Christopher's family confirmed that he had been missing since then. So the question was, what were people actually seeing on that cold December night when they phoned the police? There were no other accidents to be found. Some people believe they were seeing a sort of ghost car, a glimpse into another reality. Could it have been a time slip where the crash from the past somehow overlapped with the present moment? Some people think the reports of a crash were from a parallel universe or timeline, and the car appeared in real time for just a brief moment before disappearing. No one really knows for sure, and we'll probably never get the full answer, but it's a perfect example of how strange the world can be, and that maybe there's more going on than we can ever hope to understand. Now, what you're looking at here is known as a cold spot, deep out in space. Back in 2004, astronomers detected an anomaly in the cosmic microwave background, or CMB, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang. This cold spot is noticeably cooler than its surroundings, spanning approximately 1.8 billion light years. At first, scientists attributed this to a vast, empty supervoid, a massive region with fewer galaxies, but studying it further using more precise measurements, there's some doubt about that explanation, suggesting the void might not be as large or as empty as they thought. Well, so what does this mean though? Well, the discrepancy has led some researchers to wonder if the so-called cold spot could be the result of our universe colliding with another universe during the early stages of cosmic inflation. A collision like that could have left an imprint in the CMB, giving us possible evidence for the existence of parallel universes. This is the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, or ANITA for short. It's a NASA-funded experiment designed to detect high-energy cosmic neutrinos by capturing radio waves emitted when these particles interact with the Antarctic ice sheet. During its flights, ANITA spotted several events where particles appeared to be traveling upward through the Earth instead of coming down from up in space. Scientists were very confused because that's not supposed to happen. Particles like neutrinos had never been seen passing through the Earth like that. Well, one hypothesis is that these anomalies could be explained by the existence of a parallel universe where the laws of physics, including the direction of time, are reversed. In this scenario, particles originating from a mirror universe could travel upward through our planet. In 2019, scientists dropped what looked like a blurry orange donut onto the internet and basically broke science Twitter for a week. What people were seeing was the first real photographic evidence of a black hole, snapped by the Event Horizon Telescope. Now, what we're looking at isn't the black hole itself, technically, because physics just won't let us actually see the thing. What it is the glowing gas and light bending around the edges of the black hole. That ring is the Event Horizon, a one-way ticket to nowhere, or maybe somewhere else. See, theoretical physicists like Nikodem Pawlowski think that black holes might not just absorb stuff into nothingness, but may instead be gateways to other universes. His theory says when matter collapses into a black hole, it might not get crushed out of existence, but instead get funneled into an entirely new universe on the other side. Like, imagine every black hole being the Big Bang for a different reality. It's all based on some deep theoretical physics. No one can prove it yet, but it does fit in with the idea about multiverses and bouncing universes instead of just one big beginning. So yeah, maybe this blurry space donut isn't just a hole, maybe it's a door. What you're looking at here is a piece of what's called Kirlian photography. Back in the late 1930s, a guy named Simon Kirlian figured out that if you zap something with a high voltage current and take a picture of it, you get these weird glowing outlines around the object. Plants, apples, people's fingers, suddenly they all looked like they had some kind of electric aura around them. It was like photographing life energy, or maybe something from some other reality bleeding into ours. Now, people still argue about what this actually shows. Some say it's just moisture or static or whatever. Cool, noted. But we're here to talk about the weird and unexplained. So others think this glow is something deeper, a glimpse into another layer of existence, something we can't see with our eyes, but might be there all the time, kind of like the Force. Some even claim these energy fields shift with your mood or health, and if you believe the more far-out theories, you're literally watching energy from another dimension react in real time. No one's ever managed to fully explain it, but the fact that a basic electrical rig might be snapping pics of alternate layers of reality, that's the kind of stuff that does keep you up at 3 a.m. scrolling deeper and deeper into the weirder parts of the internet.
Number 5. Poltergeist or plant. This video starts with a girl getting ready to perform a dance routine, but they captured something even more amazing than whatever dance moves she was going to bust out. As the camera operator moves to get a better view, a dark figure can be seen dashing across the frame right in front of the girl. Its strange shape drew a lot of attention online and sparked debate, leading some to say that the figure is a stationary plant that was in the shot when the person filming panned the camera too fast. But the movement of the shadow doesn't seem to line up with that camera movement, so I'm still not sure what's going on here. Number 4. Antarctic Ninjin. The first sightings of one of these bipedal creatures was in 2002, when members of a whale research ship saw it coming to the surface of the sub-Antarctic Ocean. However, when they got too close, it returned to the sea. More sightings have happened since, and photos show a strange white two-legged animal with no arms. The name Ninjin actually means human being in Japanese, but this thing doesn't look like any human I've ever seen. Other video evidence has surfaced of a Ninjin lying on the sea floor, but some people think that that was just a type of snake eel. And people have tried to dismiss the sighting on the ice as a conveniently shaped iceberg, which would make sense, but the odds of an iceberg looking just like a creature from folklore are pretty low. Number 3. Hotel room haunting. When these two tourists checked in to the Crescent Hotel in Arkansas, they didn't expect to find an extra guest staying in their room. As they took a video of their room for an Instagram story, the strange shadow appeared on the wall, followed by something running across the room silently. They didn't notice until they watched the footage back, so it seems that it only appears on camera. I've paused this video over and over, and it looks like a small person in white clothes, but the hotel staff swears that no one else checked in with them or was up in the room at that time. The fact that the guests didn't see it until after filming is one of the most interesting parts of this though. Number 2. Lights out. The person who caught this very creepy happening on camera is a TikTok personality who usually posts comedic or music videos, but this video he posted is far from his normal content. The video shows Aiden standing outside of his bedroom, telling the viewers that he just saw something terrifying. When he points the camera at his open bedroom door and turns off the lights, a shadowy figure appears out of nowhere, only to disappear again when the lights come back on. He does this multiple times, and even from another angle, where the creature seems to get closer, at which point he gets away from there as quick as he can. Smart move. Though for my own sanity, I'd love to believe that this was staged. There doesn't seem to be any camera cuts, and frankly, he's not a good enough actor to pull off the genuinely terrified reaction, though it does seem very similar to the YouTube video turned movie Lights Out. And finally, we reach our number 1 most unexplained phenomena caught on camera, the NASA alien sightings. Most UFO sightings can be dismissed as a civilian not recognizing a military aircraft or a weather balloon, but these ones are different. In 2021, NASA declassified multiple videos filmed by US Navy and commercial pilots showing objects that can't be explained by our current understanding of physics or aviation. The objects appear to hang in the air, insanely stable, and then move at incredible speeds, even disappearing off the radar and into the ocean. One of the pilots is heard exclaiming, "There's a whole fleet of them, look!" which is pretty troubling when they don't know what the aircraft is, or whose it is. The US and other governments have stated that the aircraft do not belong to them, though some of the appearances have been above US military bases, so maybe it's a form of experimental aircraft? But the current administration has expressed concern, stating that the UFOs are of extremely advanced technology and that as far as they're aware, no country is even close to achieving. Though if it was an experimental aircraft, do you think they'd tell us? Since a few of these sightings show them flying down into the ocean, but no crash, debris, or evidence is found of them being there, that may imply that this aircraft can also function underwater, and possibly has even been existing there for a long time. I personally believe that aliens are out there somewhere. You know, with the vastness of the known universe and the possibility of more universes being out there, I think it's naive to assume that we're the only intelligent life that exists. Though I had always thought aliens wouldn't find us interesting enough to visit, the fact that these videos have NASA, the Pentagon, and so many other scientists baffled is pretty convincing. Number 10. Hestilin lights. While there are countless reports around the world of floating lights flying through the sky. Some say they're UFOs, some say will-o'-the-wisps, others still think that they're just tricks of the light being picked up on camera. But the Hesdalen lights are different. First reported in the 1930s, these floating orbs appear high in the sky over the Hesdalen Valley in central Norway, and can be of varying sizes and colors. They shift and move throughout the evening and have been documented to appear about 10 to 20 times every year, though strangely in the 80s they were reported 15 to 20 times per week. In 1983, a group of students and engineers were tasked with researching and documenting the lights to see what they could learn, and in 1998, a research station called the Hesdalen Automatic Measurement Station was built to analyze the phenomenon, and they tracked the lights moving at speeds of up to an astonishing 30,000 miles an hour. There are many videos and photos of the lights, but in 2007, a particularly notable video was filmed with one light splitting into many, rejoining and then spreading out into a straight line. The scientists tasked with measuring the data from the site say more research needs to be done, as there's still no real explanation, as they've run through all of the possible reasons for their existence and ruled them out. You can head there at any time of the year to see if you can catch them on tape yourself. Number 9. Glowing apparition. Before we get to this one, guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so that I can keep bringing you the most amazing videos. A Reddit user uploaded this video to the Unexplained videos subreddit, saying that he recorded it the very first night he put out his new security camera. It shows an oblong shape glowing and floating across his yard, all the way through the camera's vision, and it seems strangely spectral the way it moves. Users debate in the comments about what it could be. Some think it's an insect or a caterpillar called a cankerworm, which produces silk and it's blowing in the wind, and the infrared light of the camera bounces off the silk in a funny way. But I don't think that explains the way that it moves so smoothly across the yard. Others think that it's a ghostly apparition that he was lucky to catch on tape, but we'll never truly know. Number 8. Moon music. Okay, so this next one is an audio recording and not caught on camera, but I still think that it was weird enough to make it onto this list. Tapes and transcripts were declassified in 2016 of the Apollo 10 mission in 1969, where the astronauts on board report hearing strange music. And though they were traveling behind the dark side of the moon, what they heard wasn't Pink Floyd, but what they described as outer space type music. The creepiest part of all of this is that since they were traveling behind the moon, they had no radio contact with NASA or anything else. They were totally removed from the world. So where did this music come from? Is it aliens having an interstellar jam session, or a broadcast from the moon, or was it just radio interference from some other satellite or spacecraft? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 7. Russian Beast. In this widely circulated video, 2 Russian soldiers can be seen on guard duty outside of some sort of base. Suddenly, one of the soldiers falls to the ground and seems to be dragged away by some sort of creature that we can't make out in the footage. His partner tries to help, but to no avail. He then runs inside to find more people to assist, but comes back alone, and his partner is gone. Shortly after, we see a strange figure in a black cloak or jacket exiting the doorway of the base. And to this day, none of these events have been explained, and we don't know if the soldiers survived or were taken by the mysterious beast. Number 6. Back Deck Duende. On an evening in fall, an unsuspecting couple caught something troubling on their motion sensor doorbell cam. In this video, we can see something small running across their back porch. The strange shape of the creature doesn't look like any animal I can recognize, and at times it almost appears translucent. The fact that it seems to be pacing back and forth is somewhat concerning too. You know, what is it waiting for? Some users in the comments think that it may be a duende, a creature from Iberian folklore akin to a gnome, but these little guys aren't always friendly. Some versions of their lore say that they lure young people into the night to steal them away, so this would be quite the scary sight to be sitting right outside your house. However, some others in the comments joke that it might be one of the small soldiers coming back to take revenge, and if you remember that movie, it's about as plausible as anything else.
Alright, well this one sent a weird little spasm up my spine. Just watch this. The more I watch it, the more I want to retch. What in the hell is in there? I thought it was some dirty water dripping out, more like dirty goo, because it's just hanging out of the tap. That would be bad enough to find as is, but for it to just suck itself back in like that. What kind of weird David Cronenberg horror? Seriously though, what is in there? It's not a spider, the movement is just too, I don't really know how to describe it, wiggly, I guess. Spider would just like go right back in, but this thing, you do kind of see it dangle a little bit as it moves. I don't know, it just doesn't look like something that should be alive. Goo shouldn't recoil when gently brushed up against with a tissue. Anyway, enjoy brushing your teeth after watching this. Do you ever get creeped out when your pets react to things that you can't see or hear? We've all been there. Your cat suddenly freezes in place and just stares at an empty corner of your room. Your dog starts barking at the closet, only there's nothing in there. Well, according to Reddit user Derp Peepo, they posted this clip saying that their dog does this periodically. If you listen, there are some pretty obvious footsteps audible over his growling, they write. The steps were not audible out loud, only over playback. I always wonder what's going on, when cats and dogs do stuff like this. I mean, clearly something is freaking this dog out, but what? Dog senses are a lot more developed than ours. They hear, smell, and see way better than we can, which is why there's always been this eerie idea that maybe they're more sensitive to paranormal activity as well. Don't you just love climbing up into your attic to see what's making all the eerie noises at night? A Redditor by the name of Icy Maintenance 7511 had just moved into this tiny wooden house way up in a remote village in northern Italy. After living in the city forever, they were really excited to finally have found a place that was quiet and peaceful, but it didn't stay peaceful and quiet for long. At first, the house seemed cozy, but after a few weeks, weird stuff started happening. Mainly, they'd hear strange noises coming from the attic late at night, random thumps and creaks and bumps, but also sounded like something being dragged across the floor up there. At first, they just brushed it off as the house settling, but the noises got louder. That's when the Redditor decided, you know what, I'm just gonna try and find out what the hell is going on. So they climbed up to the attic and recorded this. Now amazingly, the Reddit user did something that nobody ever thinks to do in a horror movie: just leave. Don't sleep there. Icy Maintenance 7511 said they were so scared they bolted out of the house and didn't even go back for their phone, which they left up there in the attic in a panic. They went back way later to grab it. Let me start by saying this video is scary enough without the spooky figure that shows up in the trees. It's just probably not the best idea to be driving a bike through a remote forest in the middle of the night. It's just dangerous. You likely don't need me to tell you that, but this person did it, so I know y'all are out there. So here we see this POV video of someone riding through the forest, again in the middle of the night. Everything is just a blur of trees flying past until the last few seconds. If you slow it down, you'll catch it. Standing off to the side, just barely visible between the trees, is this thing. It looks like a tall, faceless figure wearing a suit. These images went viral a few years back. Reddit user Love Is Evil Xanax uploaded a series of pictures back in 2020 that got a lot of people talking online. They gave some context for the images, writing, "My uncle has a trail cam at my old grandparents' house, who are both dead. The house is abandoned. The camera takes 3 pics every time a motion is detected. This thing only appears in 1 out of 3 of the photos. For more info, for anyone wondering, my uncle was up there and left. The trail cam caught him leaving in his car completely. The trail cam takes pictures so fast it looks like stop motion if looked through quickly. This thing walks up 6 minutes after he left. It's only in a few pics, and the time says the thing was only on screen for 1 second. And the next picture, it's just gone. Never walked out of frame, just went away." So this first video comes out of Ohio. It's police body cam footage taken during the arrest of a woman named Irene Bedard back in 2022, but it's recently been going viral. Now the name Irene Bedard may not be all that familiar to you, but Pocahontas probably is. She's the actress who did the voice, so kinda a big part of a lot of our childhoods. The video isn't gaining traction because of her legal problems though, but because of something that happens later in the video. So police were trying to calm Bedard down. They approached her as she was standing at the other end of a hallway, and that's when we hear her yell something unsettling. She says repeatedly, "I don't know what that is."
Bob! I don't know what that is.
So she's very clearly frightened by something. We just don't know what. And according to her words, she doesn't know either. She runs past the camera, and that's when something eerie shows up on the floor, some sort of black morphing shape. This video was posted just last month on Reddit. It was captured in Iraq. Clearly, something is gliding across the sky. Now, is it a drone? Well, that's probably your first thought, right? But I don't know. It doesn't really look like one to me. I mean, it could be a drone of some kind, but is it some sort of experimental military one or something? The shape is just so strange. Some commenters said it gave off Metapod vibes. I can kind of see that. Others say it looks like that jellyfish UAP video taken back in 2018, and if you need a reminder there, well, this jellyfish-shaped thing had been flying over a US Joint Operations Base, also in Iraq, and the Pentagon officially classified this thing as an unknown aerial phenomenon. So that certainly adds a bit more mystery to this newer video, but in case you're still thinking that it's just a regular drone, well, it also looks similar to something spotted in this next video taken 2 decades earlier. So this strange clip was captured back in 2005 in Phoenix, Arizona. This one has a very strange shape as well. Doesn't look like your stereotypical flying saucer, but it is not a plane or a satellite either. I almost want to say kinda looks humanoid, like a dude flying around in a jetpack maybe? I don't know. It's too far away to really make out the details, but a commenter posted a link to this video as well, a UAP with a similar shape, but we can make out more odd details. This video was taken in Milan, Italy in 2012. Luckily, some people online have a lot of time on their hands, and a Redditor went in and took some screenshots of the thing and enhanced them. And wow, right? That certainly looks pretty alien. All the weird lights on it, but they're not like little lights. Flashing was, they're more like just the color of the thing itself. Very bizarre looking. Moving on to some ghostly footage now. Usually ghost videos are pretty hard to make out, but this one is just so clear that I straight up thought it was just a person walking across a room, and I was like, what's supposed to be paranormal about this? Well, according to Chase the Bass, who uploaded the clip to TikTok, yeah, that's not him walking across the room. In fact, he has no idea who or what this is. And the more you watch the clip, the more you realize that there's something off about it. I know it's kind of low quality home security camera footage, but this figure doesn't really look fully solid, especially when compared to all the furniture surrounding it, and then it just completely vanishes once it's in the middle of the room. You'll notice the kitchen light flicks off as soon as it walks in, too. Pretty spooky stuff. What do you all think of this one? Is it staged? Was something up with the camera? Or could this be a genuine piece of paranormal footage? So this creepy footage was caught on a home security camera in Mexico just a few days before Halloween. Perfect. The homeowner had heard weird noises coming from his garage, so he went to check on his dogs. Well, the dogs weren't making the noises. They were totally quiet actually, not barking, they weren't growling or anything. He walks into the garage and we see this freaky figure crouched behind one of the cars. At first, it's on all fours, almost like an animal, but then it stands up and things just get weirder from there. One of the dogs finally reacts to this and you can see this thing like stretching, like its arms and legs are almost growing. It's just lurking there half hidden, and the whole shape, it just looks wrong, like it's shifting or something. The guy gets closer, the thing crouches down again, and he just nopes out of there to go alert his wife. By the time they come back though, the thing's vanished out of view. So what in the hell was that thing? Well, it turns out there may be a specific name for it. Some folks think it might have been a Nahual, a shapeshifter from Mesoamerican folklore that can take the form of animals. Did this TikToker briefly switch realities or experience a glitch in the Matrix? Jade Gonzalez, or as she goes by on TikTok, KDaddy777_2, she shared some security footage taken at the restaurant she works at. She'd been cutting lemons when something very strange happened. Take a look. So she slices through this lemon twice, once in half, and then she cuts through one of the halves. She goes to put the cut half in a bag, and then she's like, what? She inspects it for a little bit, only to realize it's not cut anymore, so she ends up having to recut it. Now, is it possible she just didn't slice all the way through the lemon? Yeah, but it didn't appear to be cut at all, at least according to her. Now, it looks to me like she sliced through that sucker. I mean, I see the separation, but then somehow it supposedly forms back together. Interestingly, some commenters mention a yellowish flash appearing around the lemon. One guy said, okay, with the brightness all the way up and my face an inch from my screen, I see two clear halves and a yellow-white flash, and it's suddenly whole again. I don't know, guys, we may have an interdimensional glitch lemon on our hands. This is Brady Feigl, and this is a guy named Brady Feigl. No, I did not just show two pictures of the same guy. Are they twins? Well, not technically. Are they brothers? Nope. Are they related at all? No. They're just two very similar looking men who happen to be named Brady Feigl, played minor league baseball around the same time, have an identical height of 6'4", and they each share exactly 53% Germanic ancestry. I mean, you know, just some minor coincidences. You know what I'm gonna say now? The fact that these two exist so closely to each other as well, it just feels like a glitch. I mean, if we really are living in a simulation, then this is a very clear case of someone running things who just got lazy and just copied and pasted these two guys with some very slight tweaks. And before, you know, any know-it-alls in the comments are like, they don't look like twins, just stop, all right? They do, unequivocally. Identical twins? Maybe not. There are some clear differences in their faces, but they do look like they could be fraternal twins. Just admit it. So it's late at night and a trucker in Mexico is hauling cargo to Monterrey. Nothing weird, it's just another long drive until the company supervisor checks the truck's remote camera and sees something that makes his skin crawl. Sitting in the passenger seat is what looks like a woman. Pale, wearing old-fashioned clothes. Now, at first the supervisor just thinks the driver picked up a hitchhiker or something, which is totally against company policy. So he messages the driver, like, what's with the passenger? The driver is confused, and he just kind of thinks his boss is messing with him, so he keeps driving. But when he finally arrives at his destination, the supervisor shows him the dashcam footage. The driver freaks out, swearing up and down that he was alone the whole time. But clearly someone was caught on video sitting there next to him the entire trip. Now it'd be one thing if it was a woman in modern clothes sitting there chatting with the driver, but this wasn't really the case here. Something just seems off about this woman. A ghost, a weird glitch in the Matrix, either way, you ask the driver and he'd probably tell you it was the creepiest thing he'd ever experienced on the road. What would you do if you were strolling through the park and came across this? 4 black cats, each one chilling on a separate bench. Not just randomly sprawled out either. I mean, 3 of them are sitting right on the edge of their benches, like they're part of some feline cult meeting, waiting for the 4th member to arrive. As for that last cat, well, you know, it's still in motion, just hasn't figured out its assigned seating yet. This image was posted to Reddit titled Control-C, Control-V, so copy-paste, and yeah, it really does look like someone copy and pasted the same cat over and over. Now, black cats already get a bad rap thanks to superstitions, and seeing 4 of them lined up like some shadowy council of judgment doesn't exactly scream good vibes. I'm not even superstitious myself, but I don't even think I'd risk sitting on one of those benches. All right, let's finish off the list with some sciencey talk. So the universe is expanding faster than it should be, and scientists can't quite figure out why. That weird mystery is called the Hubble tension. Basically, we're getting different answers depending on how we measure the speed of the universe's expansion, and it's throwing everything off. To explain it, some researchers from the University of New Mexico and UC Davis have floated a theory that there could be a mirror world. Yes, a full-blown parallel universe made up of what are called shadow particles. Exact copies of the ones in our universe, but invisible, and only detectable through gravity. They're saying this hidden realm could be messing with how we perceive expansion, and might even be the source of dark matter, which is believed to make up most of the universe, but it isn't actually observable. This mirror world idea isn't totally new, but until recently it wasn't linked to solving the Hubble problem. Now scientists think it might be the missing piece that makes the math work. No one's saying that we've, confirmed the existence of parallel universes just yet, but if this turns out to be true, it could completely flip how we see the cosmos. Next is another strange car video. This one comes out of Russia. So this vehicle goes to make a left-hand turn, and as it moves into the intersection, suddenly this random car just appears, cutting them off, nearly causing a collision. Now, on one hand, you have all this strange theories. Is it a ghost car? Did the vehicle just suddenly spawn out of a parallel reality. On the other hand, this driver could have just roared into the intersection so fast they weren't on camera until they just seemed to show up, and that is just reckless driving. And honestly, I think that freaks me out way more than some mysterious phantom car appearing out of nowhere. Well, if there's anything that looks like it materialized out of a parallel reality, it's this thing. This has become a pretty famous photograph in the UFO/UAP community. It's called the Calvin photo. It was actually hidden for decades. Some people say it's one of the clearest UFO images ever taken. The story goes that back in 1990, two hotel chefs were out on a casual hike in the Scottish Highlands near a place called Calvin. They were just out for some fresh air, nice view, and then boom, they spot this massive diamond-shaped object just hovering in the sky. That's when they managed to snap their picture. A real sharp picture as well. They send it to a newspaper, but instead of publishing it, the paper passes it straight to the Ministry of Defense, and then the photo just disappears for over 30 years. Well, in 2022, a journalist named David Clark finally drags it out of hiding. Turns out a former Royal Air Force press officer had a copy stashed away this whole time. Clark gets a photo expert to analyze it, and guess what? There's no signs of tampering to the image. It is legit. So, what is this thing? Well, Clark thinks it's a real UFO. Not necessarily alien maybe, but definitely something unidentified. What you're looking at here is footage of what's been referred to as the Hasdalen lights in Norway. These things have been showing up since the 1930s, and no one's been able to fully explain what they are. It's these weird glowing orbs or flashes of light. They're seen floating or zooming around a valley. Sometimes they hover in one spot, other times they move around, fast or slow. They've been seen at night, in the daytime, and they've stuck around anywhere from a few minutes to several hours. Scientists have actually tried to study them too. There's been legit research, long-term observation. People have tried to explain it with stuff like ionizing gas clouds, rare atmospheric conditions, or reflections from aircraft lights, you know, all the standard science guesses, but none of them have ever definitively solve the mystery. Just what exactly is going on here? Well, it's called ball lightning. It's a rare, unexplained phenomenon, a glowing orb of electricity that floats around during a thunderstorm. Sometimes ball lightning will stick around for several seconds, even up to a minute. People have described it as anything from the size of a golf ball to a basketball, sometimes bright white, other times glowing blue or orange. It's weird, it's unpredictable, and it doesn't follow any of the normal rules. The craziest part is scientists still don't really know how it works. There are a bunch of theories floating around. Maybe it's plasma, maybe it's some kind of gas reacting with electrical charges, maybe it's something else entirely. No one's ever been able to make it happen in a lab. It just shows up randomly and then it's gone. That's probably why there are stories of ball lightning flying through closed windows or even damaging people's homes. It's like it just phases in from somewhere else and then disappears again like nothing ever happened. So yeah, could it be some rare natural thing we just don't get yet? Yeah, sure. Or maybe it's not just electricity at all. Maybe it's something slipping in from another dimension for a few seconds before vanishing back to wherever it came from. Notice anything strange about this next clip? Yeah, where the hell did that dog come from? So this video comes out of Chile, was posted to YouTube back in 2015. What I like about this one is that there's a very good reason for someone to be filming the road. There's a street race happening. Sometimes I watch, supposed real ghost or cryptid footage, and I'm like, all right, but why did they have their camera out in the first place? Anyway, this one looks pretty convincing to me, but what do you all think? Let us know down in the comments. This is the last known footage of a man named Stephen Kocher. Back in 2009, Stephen was living in Salt Lake City, Utah. He'd quit his job and moved down south to St. George, hoping to start fresh, but things weren't exactly going great. He couldn't find steady work, money was tight, and life was just kinda stuck in neutral. Then out of nowhere on December 12th, he up and left town. The next day, Stephen calls a couple of his friends and tells them he's in Las Vegas, but he doesn't say why he's there or what he's doing. That's the last time anyone ever heard from him. A few days later, police find his car parked in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Henderson, Nevada. Nothing's been stolen, nothing really seems off. He even left wrapped Christmas presents in the back seat for his family. A doorbell camera from a house in the neighborhood caught Steven on the day he disappeared. You see him park his car, calmly cross the street, walk down the sidewalk, and then just walk out of frame, and that's it. That's the last confirmed sighting of him. No one knows why he was in that neighborhood. It's not a rough area, it's not near anything he was known to be involved with, and he didn't know anyone who lived there. His phone was pinging towers for a couple days after that, but then it just went dark. Some people think he might have faked his own disappearance, like maybe he was just overwhelmed with everything. He was broke, wanted to start over, but it's been over a decade now, and there's never been a single clue about where he went. If you heard a voice calling to you from another room, only it sounded just like you, what would you do? This clip was posted to TikTok by Andy Winehouse, and I don't even care if this is staged, it just gives me the goosebumps. Just the idea of hearing your own voice calling to you from the next room, it sends a shiver up my spine. The uploader also wrote in the comments, "For extra clarification, I thought it was the TV or my wife watching one of my TikToks at first. I called her immediately when I realized it wasn't her in the other room. I waited about 3 minutes and the voice stopped, but footsteps continued for about 12 more minutes." In Plattsmouth, Nebraska, there's a place called the Museum of Shadows. A lot of creepy things are said to go on here, but this video actually showed up on Fox News. So in the early morning hours of February 2nd, 2018, museum owner Nate Ratterman checked the cameras and spotted something straight out of a ghost movie. Inside one of the museum rooms, a small ball, what paranormal folks call a trigger object, starts moving. Of course, there was no one else in the room at the time. The ball doesn't just do a lame little, roll either. It lifts off the ground like it's being picked up by some unseen hand, and then it gets chucked across the room. You'll notice at one point it's sitting on the floor and then bounces into the air. It's not being thrown from off camera or something. The museum sits in a building from 1881 that used to be a saloon, with a brothel upstairs where a number of people reportedly died. This next video comes out of a hospital in Mexico. Here we see a doctor being filmed with what has to be a mid-2000s flip phone. Just gotta love that early YouTube 240p quality. Suddenly though, something weird happens in the background. Watch the double doors behind the doctor. You can clearly see a dark figure pass by. It's not a light trick, it's not a camera glitch. Something clearly moves behind those doors. Well, alright, so no big deal. It's doors leading to a room someone just walked by. Well, the camera operator reacts. He clearly wasn't expecting anyone to be back there. So he walks over and opens the door to check things out. And inside we see, well, nothing. At least no living person. It's just this empty room with medical equipment, and one piece of gear is slowly rolling, like something just brushed past it. And if you look closely back at the shadowy figure and how it moves past the door again, it almost looks like it doesn't walk, it kinda glides. You don't get that up and down motion when a normal person walks, it's just fast and silent. Reddit user Baroness von Schrader posted a couple of photographs taken at their aunt's wedding in 1966, and one of them looks very off. The first picture is normal, just a happy bride and groom. The second picture looks normal at first glance, but look at it for more than a couple seconds, and there's clearly something off about this image. Just what is that ghostly looking figure in between them? Clearly the uploader didn't know who it was, because they took the time to post these images. Well, the Redditor also attached one more image, a photo of their aunt's grandmother, who'd been dead long before the wedding photos were taken. What do you all think? Did the bride's long dead grandmother make a visit from beyond the grave? This final clip comes from Reddit user Stuart James Author, who'd been carrying out a paranormal investigation at Oxford Castle. He hadn't noticed anything odd while filming, but when he reviewed the footage later, he noticed a couple very unsettling things. First, while passing by a window, he spotted what really looks a lot like a ghostly face peering in at him. Take a look. So, did you spot that? Here it is zoomed in. This next one is kinda hard to make out, but as he turned a corner leading into a dark hallway, he spotted what looked like a humanoid figure leaning up against a wall. He said he hadn't seen it when he was filming initially. This first video showed up on a news segment in the Philippines back in 2003. So a basketball coach was filming one of his training sessions, just a normal day with the kids out on the court. Everything seemed fine, it was sunny, no drama, but when he got home and started reviewing the footage, he spotted something weird. In the background, across the street, a kid suddenly runs by. Now, why would this catch his attention? Well, the coach didn't recognize the kid at all. In fact, he didn't even see him there while he was filming that day. It was like the boy had just materialized into the video. He rewound the clip again and was totally creeped out. Alright, maybe he was just freaking himself out. Maybe the kids had seen this mysterious kid. Well, he had all his basketball kids watch the video too, and they all freaked out. None of them had seen the mystery kid either. And on top of that, they started telling him about how they'd had this strange feeling that day. Some of them even mentioned feeling cold chills during the practice, which made no sense because it was hot out, it was summer, it's the Philippines. Wanting answers, the coach had the video checked by a professional editor. After examining the footage, the expert confirmed the mystery figure was definitely there. There were no signs of tampering and no digital tricks. What you're looking at here is security footage captured inside a church in Texas. The identity of this person is still unknown. On April 18, 2016, 45-year-old fitness instructor Missy Bevers was found dead inside the Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas. She'd gone in early, around 4 a.m. to set up for one of her boot camp classes. By 5 a.m., a student arrived and found her body. She'd suffered multiple puncture wounds to the head and chest, and a hammer was also found nearby. Surveillance footage from inside the church, taken shortly before the attack, showed a figure dressed in full SWAT-style tactical gear, a black helmet, a vest marked police gloves, slowly walking through the building. The person is seen opening doors and just casually smashing windows. They had a noticeable limp or some kind of awkward gait, possibly dragging one leg at times. Police still haven't even identified though if the suspect is male or female. Strangely, nothing was stolen either. Missy's iPad and personal belongings were left untouched. The church's exterior cameras weren't working that day, and investigators never released footage showing the actual encounter. It's believed that the killer waited inside and ambushed her. The 2010 to 2012 Nissan Altima was caught on a nearby store security cam circling the parking lot around 2 a.m., flashing headlights and acting suspiciously. That driver was never identified. Missy had also been receiving strange LinkedIn messages from a man before her death. We don't know if that's connected or not. To this day, even with all this footage, no one knows who killed her or why. This eerie footage was posted to YouTube by Chad Logan back in 2012, and it's been a complete mystery ever since. It's just 5 minutes of this creepy 8mm footage. Most of the video is pretty innocuous until it gets to the woods. Here we see the camera person following this old woman into the woods before we're eventually led to a cloth sack on the ground. The camera person gets up close to the bag and opens it, revealing what looks to be human hair, and then a full human head. There's only one other video on this person's channel called Bitterroot Photos. Here we see Chad holding up a series of old black and white photos which supposedly came with the reel of film that he received. For context, he was a student at a university in New York. He just moved into a studio apartment and needed some furniture. Found a guy on Craigslist that wanted to desperately get rid of his things at super cheap prices. He sold things in bulk to get rid of as much as possible. Chad bought a small table, and with it came a bunch of other random things, one being this old wooden box. He had to force open the lid with a screwdriver, and inside he found these old pictures. The word Bitterroot was handwritten on the backs of all of them. There was also a tin can that contained a reel of 8mm film. To this day, we've never gotten any updates.
Moving on to number 5, we have the floating Russian girl. This footage from Russia went viral when it hit the internet. It appears to show someone filming in the woods, just taking their dog for a walk. Then the camera pans to the right and they see a very strange sight. A little girl in a red jacket hovering over what is presumably her mother. After a few seconds of this, the dog barks, and this seems to startle the pair, who then run off into the woods. At first glance, there doesn't seem to be anything holding her up at all, so that leaves video tampering. Was that the cause? Because of the poor quality of the video, it's actually quite hard to tell if someone has manipulated this film in any way. Some people swear that this is totally true what you're seeing, and you really have got a floating girl on your hands. But is the girl floating herself, or does the mother have telekinesis and she's the one picking her up? You can find the clip on YouTube to draw your own conclusions. Next up at number 4, we have the Hampton Court Ghost. Hampton Court Palace in the UK is over 500 years old, and the centuries of death and violence it has seen has caused some people to say it's the most haunted place in the country. But for all of those years, the many reports of ghosts were just words, just stories. Nothing was ever actually recorded, but that all changed in 2003. CCTV cameras had caught sightings of a pair of fire doors that were burst open every day for seemingly no reason. Then one day it happened again, but they also saw this. Who was that figure? Some call this tall, dark, hooded creature Skeletor. So was Skeletor just a member of the public that slipped past all the other cameras, or was it one of the many ghosts of Hampton Court? Coming at number 3, we have Tears of Crystal. This video from 1996 appears to show a 12-year-old Lebanese girl called Hasna Mohammed producing crystals from her eyes. Now Hasna said that one day at school she just felt a bit of discomfort in her eye, and that's when she found her first crystal. The family said she produced about 7 crystals every single day from her eye for about 9 months. The crystals were analysed and confirmed to be totally real and not glass that had just entered her body somewhere else and exited through her eyes. Skeptics say that Hasna just inserted the crystals behind her eyelids and then popped them out on demand, but others argue there is no way a 12-year-old girl would just do this 7 times a day for 9 months just for a little bit of attention. What do you guys think? At number 2, we have Lars Mittank. In 2014, 28-year-old German Lars Mittank was on holiday with friends in Bulgaria. After a night of beach partying, he got into a fight with some football fans, damaging his ear badly. He then went to a McDonald's with his friends and walked outside. When they came out, he was gone and didn't return till the next morning. Lars told them he had got into another fight with some Russian men who were apparently hired to beat him up. They were concerned for him and took him to a hospital for his ear injury, for which he was given antibiotics. The doctors said he had to wait behind while his friends flew home because his eardrum was perforated. So after his friends left him in Bulgaria, he started texting his mother in a paranoid state, saying he didn't feel safe, that there was men coming to get him and she should even cancel his credit card. The next day, he went to the airport, visited the doctor's office there and became very anxious and started muttering things. Before the doctor could calm him down, Lars just ran. The footage you are seeing now shows him leaving his luggage and just running out of the airport. These are the last known images of him before he jumped over the fence and ran into the woods, never to be seen again. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody has seen Lars since. Some say it was the drugs that sort of damaged him a little bit. Some say it was a brain injury from his fight, but others claim he witnessed some gangster activity that he wasn't supposed to see. And finally at number 1, we have the Phoenix Lights. On March 13, 1997, thousands of people living in Phoenix, Arizona saw lights in the sky. Witnesses reported that a huge V-shaped UFO passed over in the sky. Thousands saw the same thing, with some estimates saying it was the size of several football fields. Even the governor saw it, later calling it otherworldly. Witnesses said it was silent and totally black, blocking out all the stars behind it. Now despite thousands of people seeing this event, there are only 4 pieces of footage from that night. Now remember guys, this was still a few years before video phones really took off. The military said these lights were simply flares used for target practice that night, but this goes against a lot of witness accounts, leaving people with the footage, the pictures and their own opinions to form. Number 10, the Cumberland Spaceman. In 1964, Jim Templeton was visiting Burgh Marsh in Cumberland, UK with his family. He stopped to take some pictures of his daughter, but when he later went to get the pictures developed, he was astounded to see what looks like an astronaut of some kind standing just a few meters behind his daughter. Now Jim swears that when he took this picture, he saw nobody else around. The company that developed the picture, Kodak, they confirmed that the picture was genuine and had not been tampered with in any way. So, did he really snap a spaceman? Well, some say he did, but others say that it was just his wife. The reason Jim couldn't see her is because the viewfinder on that camera only shows about 70% of the total frame. As for her strange appearance, well, that is apparently down to overexposure, which changed her blue dress to white. At number 9 now, we have the ghost of Freddie Jackson. In 1975, Sir Victor Goddard, a retired RAF officer, published a picture of his squadron who served in World War I. But something strange was spotted on that picture. On the back row, behind the 4th sailor to the left, you can clearly see what looks like a ghostly face. Members of the squadron identified that face as that of Freddie Jackson, an air mechanic who had actually been accidentally killed by an aeroplane propeller just 2 days before the photo. His funeral had actually just been held on that day. So his face was identified by many of those who knew him, and an investigation found no apparent tampering with the photograph. Sir Victor, who published the picture, said that after looking at at Freddy's smile, it seems as though his ghost wasn't even aware he was dead at all, and had still showed up for the photo as planned. What do you guys think? Trick of the light or oblivious ghost? Next up at number 8, we have the Jameson family disappearance. This is a weird one. In 2009, Bobby and Sherilyn from Oklahoma, USA disappeared along with their daughter Madison. The family had reported that spirits of a dead family have been haunting them in their own home, and that their daughter had even made contact with them. Their pastor told investigators that Bobby Jameson had also bought a satanic Bible to ward off these beings. On October 8th, the day they disappeared, the family's own security camera captured this footage showing them moving things from their house to their truck. They didn't appear to be speaking or even acknowledging each other in any way at all. They made over a dozen trips but didn't seem to communicate. Even the little girl was like in this daze. It was really weird. When they drove out of shot, they were never seen again alive. 8 days later, police found their abandoned pickup truck with their phones, IDs, $32,000 in cash and their starving dog inside. 4 years later, the family's bodies were found by hunters less than 3 miles from where they left their truck. The cause of death was never identified, and nobody knows what exactly they were doing on that security footage. Coming in at number 7, we have the night crawlers. This footage comes from 2007 when security cameras captured these strange creatures walking across someone's yard at night in California. These things were first filmed in the city of Fresno, which has given them the name the Fresno Aliens. Some people think they are extraterrestrial creatures known as night crawlers in certain Native American beliefs, and that they came to Earth to help awaken us and bring harmony between humans and nature. But other people aren't convinced though, and they say it's just a big pair of pajamas being pulled along a washing line with wires. Like that. Once you watch it again with that in mind, it's pretty hard to see it any other way. What do you guys think? Next up at number 6, we have the Black Knight satellite. These pictures of a strange black object orbiting Earth were taken by a NASA shuttle in 1998. People claim that it's an alien ship that was first spotted in the 1950s but could be thousands of years old. It had supposedly been beaming signals to Earth for many years and had been sent by an alien race to watch over us. More recently though, footage from Jacksonville, Florida appears to show a very similar looking object hovering in the sky. The explanations that have been given for these sightings range from it being space debris to a lost thermal blanket that broke off the NASA space shuttle.
You know what always creeps me out? Chairs moving on their own. Luckily, I've never seen this happen in person myself, but the idea of it has always gotten under my skin. It's a horror trope that just always works. Reddit user the Dotty Dot posted this piece of footage taken at an elementary school after closing. Take a look at this. Now, on its own, the video ain't much. I mean, something like this could have easily been faked, but there is a story to go along with it as well. The Dotty Dot wrote, "My mom has worked for the school system for 28 years. The elementary school she worked at is said to be haunted, but she never mentioned seeing anything. She retired this year, but obviously she's still friends with all the staff. One of her close friends works there as a custodian and was cleaning up after hours and she heard a noise. She went into this room to check it out and saw this chair doing this. It kept going, so she started recording it. I have no idea how long it went on. My mom sent it to me." A Reddit user by the name of ADRN916 posted this eerie image here with the caption, "Trail cam photo captured after lake was dug. Ghost hunter type team called them tree people." It's definitely an odd image. It almost looks like two ghostly figures emanating from a pair of trees or like partially fused with them, hence the name tree people. Also kind of looks like two people floating in midair. Now background info on this is pretty scarce, but the uploader did post this image as well. Now we see two figures, possibly the same ones in the first image, running past the camera. The low quality could explain their kind of ghostly look, but there's still something eerie about the image. And according to the uploader, the property, which they don't own, the image comes from a friend of theirs, is pretty secluded. So even if these figures aren't paranormal, it's strange for people to just be roaming around the area. Apparently the property owner and his family have also reported hearing strange, inhuman screams at night. Take a look at this image of an abandoned asylum in Wales. Notice anything odd? Take a look at the top window in the middle. Here's a even closer look. Just what the hell is that? Well, the man who snapped the picture, Adam Smith, said he was walking past the abandoned Brecon and Radnor Lunatic Asylum when he spotted something glaring down at him from one of the second floor windows. In 2016, when the photo was taken, the asylum had been abandoned for over 15 years. So what was this thing? A squatter or something else? Interestingly, the asylum had also been used as a prisoner of war camp during World War II. An abandoned asylum and former prisoner of war camp definitely sets the stage for a haunting or two, making this ghoulish face seem a lot more unsettling. Reddit user Pink Cuppa posted this eerie family photo, writing, "This one's from my family. I don't really believe in ghosts, but this one gets me. The apparition, faintly visible over the deceased grandma, is a husband of the dead wife. The husband had already been dead for 5+ years. This photo was taken in central Poland roughly 20 years ago. My girlfriend is telling me this is just a trick of an old camera, but I highly doubt it. The apparition was already dead for at least 5 years. There are multiple pictures, some of which have been burned, in horror of the apparition." It's a freaky image for sure, but a lot of commenters think this is a case of double exposure, and while that's most likely the case, it doesn't really take away from the creepiness to me. I mean, double exposure or not, the deceased husband still showed up in a photograph of his widowed wife's dead body. That's just weird. Was this just a coincidence, or had the husband's spirit somehow influenced the events that led up to a particularly freaky double exposure? Reddit user Kara4Ever2084 had been helping a friend move when this video was captured on his ring cam. According to the uploader, the shadowy figure doesn't look like anyone who was there. He writes, "In December of 2020, my wife and I were helping a friend unload stuff from his truck into the house. As we wound down, we were catching up and joking around. My friend's phone went off. He checked it, and it was a notification from his ring cam, which was mounted on the middle of the window of the front door. It said there was a motion detected, and it sent him this vid. We were the only people there, and we were just outside the door. None of us saw anything with the naked eye." TikToker LGAP posted a video with the caption, "Help me, there is something in my house." And based on this footage, I'd be inclined to believe him. Take a look. Yeah, this is one of my worst nightmares. Hearing a noise in the middle of the night, walking into the living room, only to spot a dark shape in the corner, of course, hoping it's just your eyes playing tricks on you. I mean, surely there's not really someone there. As soon as I flick on the lights, I'll find out it's just a coat I left there earlier, something like that. But then you flick on the light, and whatever the thing was just vanishes. Now, I can't decide if a shadowy figure disappearing is worse than something still standing there when the lights come on. At least if it was still there, I wouldn't feel like I was losing my mind. Only way things could possibly get worse though is if you plucked up the courage to flick the lights off again and the mysterious shadowy entity was standing exactly where it was before, which is exactly what happens in the video. Next up, we have a video from a now deleted Reddit user who spotted something peeking out at him while filming in an abandoned hospital ward somewhere in California. This is what he saw. Take a look. According to the original uploader who did maintenance work at the hospital, a security guard had told him that he'd kept seeing things while patrolling the ward at night and wanted someone else to see because he thought he was losing his mind. The guard suggested the Redditor film to see if he could pick anything up, and the uploader agreed. He didn't realize what his camera had picked up until he got home later and watched the footage back. When he saw it, his heart dropped, describing the realization of what he'd captured as the creepiest thing he'd ever seen. Now, people have commented saying that the figure, it just seems too dark. The hallway is bright enough that you'd think it would cast enough light on the figure to make out some features, but instead it appears as this featureless black mass. A creepy video for sure, and not the last hospital entity we have on the list. Just what did this man happen to spot in an abandoned hospital in Honduras? That does not look human. It almost looks like the ghost of E.T. or something to me, doesn't it? It doesn't even look like a human figure. Whatever it is though, it's creepy. There's an interesting backstory here as well. Supposedly strange things have been known to go on at this hospital. Lights will turn on and off patients' rooms, and people will hear unexplained things at night. And why? Well, some believe that the hospital is haunted by the spirit of a doctor who took their own life at the hospital. Could this strange figure be the ghost of this doctor, or is this one just a hoax? Up next, we have yet another hospital entity. Take a look at the doors behind the doctor here. So that is not a trick of the camera or the light. Someone or something very clearly passes by the door. Now, your first thought is probably, well, yeah, it's just a person, but watch what happens next. The cameraman is clearly shocked by what he's just seen. There's probably not meant to be anyone in that room, so he walks in to investigate, and what does he see? Nothing. It's an empty room, aside from the equipment anyway, and there doesn't appear to be any other exit. What we do see is a piece of equipment rolling as if someone has just bumped it as they walked by. Now, there are a few things I really like about this video. First of all, it's 16 years old, so it has that low quality video spook factor to it. Not too thrilled about 2008 being 16 years ago. That's kind of scarier than the video itself, but anyway. Commenters have also pointed out how unnatural this mysterious figure is. Not just because of how dark it is, but look at how it moves. It almost looks like it glides past the door rather than walking. It doesn't have like the bounce you have with normal steps. On top of that, it seems to glide by at a pretty good speed. What are your thoughts on this one? Let me know down below. This next clip was uploaded to YouTube by Joey Nolan. Take a look. A strange piece of footage indeed. Some sort of semi-translucent shape seems to be moving around at the top of the stairs. According to the uploader, the footage was captured on his home security camera on August 8th, 2019 at 12:54 a.m. Whatever it is, it seems to change shape throughout. At first, it almost looks like a small human figure walking out from the shadows of the kitchen before stopping at the top of the stairs. Then it almost looks like two floating orbs. Once again, I turn to you though. What do you all think of this one? A hoax, a piece of dust, or does it just look too uncanny to be faked? Number 5, night shift. Oh boy, working alone at night in a big empty building, just the thought of that sends shivers down my spine. In this story posted to Reddit by True Denter, they described their encounter with a man who seemingly disappeared into thin air. I used to work at a place which was required to be manned 24 hours a day. Anyways, security is kinda tight. Bars on windows, multiple locked doors to get to where I am. They would give me work to do during the night, but underestimated how quickly I could get it done. So now it's getting to be the last third of my shift when all of a sudden I hear a door close. I look at the security camera and see someone walking down a hall towards my room. First I thought it was just somebody that came in ridiculously early, so I turn around and wait for them to come in, but nobody came in, and the hairs start rising on my back. Now this isn't a really big building, so I figure I'll find the guy wherever he is. I start checking offices and storage rooms, but come up empty-handed. However, I do see that a fire door had shut. I go to try and rewind the camera, but the digital recording is password protected and I don't know the password. Anyways, the whole thing freaked me out. The way the person was walking down the hallway, like a determined walk right to where I was. So I sit with my spine tingling for the last couple hours of my shift, and finally people start coming in. My replacement shows up and I tell her what I saw, and at this point I figure I must have imagined the whole thing. I'm told to go home, and the manager and the girl who replaced me would look over the camera. After getting home, I call my manager and ask what was on the camera. So they said that the video showed the fire door closing, but then the video froze for about an hour. The next thing it records is me reopening the door. Next up, we have Son's Ghost. In 2019, a woman named Jennifer Hodge received an alert on her phone from her Nest Cam, which detects movement and sound, reading, "Take a look. Your entryway camera spotted a person." She'd been watching TV with her daughter and was about to fall asleep when she got this notification. They looked at the image, and it showed what looked to be a ghostly figure standing in their kitchen. Her daughter immediately said, "Mom, look, it looks like Robbie." Robbie was her brother and Jennifer's son, who had passed away 2 years earlier. But they both agreed that the figure in the photo captured by the camera did look exactly like Robbie. They immediately ran to the kitchen, but there was nobody there, and no signs of forced entry either. Hodge described feeling comforted by the situation though, saying, "I felt like he was letting me know he's happy in heaven." Number 3, the bike. This is another story posted to Reddit by user TJS252, who wrote the following. I used to have an apartment pretty close to my office. The office building was kind of on its own relative to the city's commercial district. I sold the apartment, and before moving into my new home, I left my bicycle chained to the building's bike rack. It was only to be there for a few days and at no man's land before I was able to move it into my new place. Anyway, one day in the middle of the week, I come into the office, walk past the bike rack, and notice it's completely empty. The building has a bunch of security cameras, and one more or less is facing the bike rack. I sit and watch the security tape with the IT guy. We're watching, see everyone leave the office the night before, see the bike, keep watching, then all of a sudden, poof, bike gone. We slowed the tape down, and it seemed like when you're watching a digital cable or satellite and the image gets garbled, literally it was bike there, then poof, gone. In the tape's timestamp, it literally happened in 1 second. I assume my bike got taken down to the upside down. Coming at number 2, we have the ghost attack. Here we see a security camera footage that looks to be coming from an office or apartment building. We see this guy walking down the hallway when all of a sudden something sends him flying back to the floor. You can see a very obvious dark shadowy shape appear, which then begins dragging the dude down the hallway by the leg. Luckily it doesn't drag him very far before disappearing though, and the man, now free from the mysterious entity's grasp, stumbles to his feet and starts booking it back the way he came. Whatever friend he was seeing, appointment he had booked, whatever it wasn't happening that day. Being violently dragged down a hallway by a shadowy entity kinda has a way of disrupting your plans for the day, I reckon. Now, as to whether this video is real or not, let me know what you think. I think it's a well done video, but yeah, I'm just not sold on the whole ghost thing yet. I wanna be though. And finally, we have the nursing home specter. A security guard named Jay Brown was working the night shift at a nursing home in Chicago when he spotted some sort of ghostly figure floating past the front desk. In this video, he's watching back at the security camera footage as he films, talking about what he saw. If you look closely at the footage, you actually see some sort of misty shape floating around in the corner. You watch as Brown stands up, confused and terrified as to what he's witnessing. At one point, he even throws a book at the ghostly mass, but then he decides to just take a deep breath, calm down, and get on with his shift. You know, stuff happens at work. Rude patients, long hours, sometimes there's a ghost in the corner, you gotta whip a book at and then just get on with your day. Brown stated that whatever the strange entity is, it seems to show up every few months. And we're kicking off this list with the ghost patient. In this security camera footage from a hospital in Argentina, we see a security guard sitting at his desk. It's late and there's nobody else in the foyer aside from the guard. At least that's the way it looks to us. We watch as the automatic doors open, as if someone is entering into the hospital. Only there's nobody actually there. Or is there? The security guard seems to think there is because he gets up from his desk and walks over to check this invisible person in. We watch him talk to what looks like thin air before allowing whoever or whatever it is inside. The guard later said that he had seen a woman walk into the hospital. She said she'd left something in the room she'd been staying in. The staff were of course pretty creeped out by the footage, especially when it was discovered that the name he'd taken down when letting the invisible entity into the hospital was the same name as a woman who had died just the previous day. Coming in at number 9, we have Miss Abigail. In this footage taken in a building in Houston, Texas, we see a security guard once again having a conversation with what looks like thin air. His coworker watching the cameras is filming her screen, completely confused by what she's seeing. Then she radios in to the guard asking who he's talking to. He responds by saying he's speaking with Miss Abigail, who's looking for Mr. Griffin. The coworker becomes even more confused now, saying, "You sure you're saying Miss Abigail? She died 2 years ago." She then goes on to say that there's nobody in the hallway with him. Suddenly it sinks in for the guard and he turns around and starts running down the hallway. Fair enough, that would probably be my reaction as well. Even if this is just a hoax, it's such a creepy idea. Imagine having what you think is just some innocuous conversation with somebody, only to be told, hey bud, nobody there with you. I also have this haunting image in my mind of how this supposed ghost looked once the guard was told he wasn't talking to anyone. Did Miss Abigail disappear? Or even creepier, and what I'm kind of picturing is that she just stood there completely still, staring blankly at him until he ran away. Next on the list we have the poltergeist. In the security footage captured in a 200-year-old school in Cork Island called Deer Park CBS, we see a series of paranormal phenomena take place. First, a door at the end of the hallway seemingly opens on its own before violently slamming shut. Then a filing cabinet or locker starts rocking back and forth out of nowhere. One of the lockers opens up and papers start flying out on their own. A wet floor sign suddenly flips out. I don't know, it spins around and collapses. Whatever was causing this to happen was not in a good mood that night. Number 7, the hospital ghost. This is a story that was posted to Reddit by user Dr. Basio. Goes as follows. I work as a doctor in a hospital in the UK and was on a night shift that was particularly quiet. Some of the nurses were sitting around telling this story. A young doctor was running to a crash call. Our hospital is a giant L shape, with the front entrance being at the bend. A woman stopped him and asked him which way the exit was. He directed her and kept running. When he got to the patient, it was the woman who had asked him for directions. She had died. Apparently it got caught on the CCTV that the doctor stopped running midway down the hallway and gestured toward the exit while saying something to no one in particular. So supposedly, the confused spirit of this patient who had just died spoke to the doctor, who was racing over to save her life. Pretty spooky stuff. And hey, if there's any place where paranormal stuff like this is gonna take place, it's gotta be a hospital. At number 6, we have one that's pretty similar to the Miss Abigail video. This footage was originally uploaded to TikTok by the security guard in the video, Luis de Alvarez, who took it down soon after, utterly traumatized by the entire event. He was working as a night guard and was alone patrolling a floor he was on when he spotted an old lady. We watch as he walks over to who he believes is a person, although we can't see anyone but him in the footage. He begins talking to what he later described as an old lady who was saying she was lost. But another guard tells him over his walkie-talkie that there's nobody there. He's the only one on the floor. The guard was waiting for the elevator, but decided to just leg it out of there as fast as he could. We cut to another angle and he's like running through the parking lot and then just out of the building completely. Ran halfway across the city, I'm sure. In this next video, we see a dude filming his backyard at night as someone or something is creeping around just in front of his bushes. The thing looks pale and hairless, but not thin and spindly like your typical rake-like creature. This thing looks bulkier. Kind of reminds me of a hairless chimpanzee or E.T. in some ways because of the long arms and the short legs. In fact, you can't really see legs at all. It's just something you'd never want to encounter anywhere, really, let alone in your own backyard in the middle of the night. I'm not sure where this video was filmed or who the original uploader is, but the man behind the camera is talking on the phone to a friend named Mike, describing what he's seeing. He also says that it's the second time he'd seen it in a week, and that it looked, quote, demonic. In a video uploaded to the YouTube channel Jimmy B Trail Cams, we see something pretty disturbing. Footage shows a large, hairy creature walking across the screen in the woods of Birch Bay, Washington. Now, what makes this video extra interesting is that Jimmy B isn't a Bigfoot hunter. He just seems to have a passion for wildlife. His channel has videos of foxes, wolves, hawks, owls, so this one definitely stands out. The footage isn't crystal clear, but for a Bigfoot sighting, it does show a lot. The creature moves with that distinct Bigfoot walk, its arms hanging at its sides, and a long stride that seems too big for a regular animal, or, of course, a human. It's got that typical heavy gait you hear people describe in Bigfoot encounters. Also interesting, after posting the video, Jimmy B said 4 of his 8 trail cameras went missing the day after. Coincidence? Maybe, but it definitely raises some eyebrows. In terms of still images of Bigfoot type creatures, these ones may be my absolute favorites. There was this show here in Canada called Mystery Hunters back in the day. It was all about cryptids, ghosts, and legends from all over the world. In one episode, these pictures of the skunk ape were shown, and boy, did they freak me out when I was a youngster, but I loved it. I kept tuning in to see if this episode would come back just to see these images. The skunk ape is mostly spotted in Florida, though there have been reports in Texas and a couple other states as well. What makes it stand out is the strong, terrible odor that it's said to give off, hence the name skunk ape. A lot of people claim to have seen the skunk ape, and some even have photos that they swear show the creature. One of the most talked about pieces of evidence are, of course, these famous photos here that were snapped in 2000 by a woman on her back porch in Florida, showing what looks like a huge ape-like creature walking through a swamp. Now, some have said this thing looks like an orangutan. I mean, similar in some ways, sure, but in general, no. If this is a costume as well, it's a pretty solid one. This next video was originally posted to TikTok by Killer Clowns 2022 back in 2023. In the clip, a group of guys are driving down a quiet road late at night using flashlights to try and spot a buck that one of them thinks he saw earlier. Now, as they're scanning the area, one of them spots something in the distance, thinking it might be the animal, but when they shine their light on it, whatever it is doesn't look like a buck at all. Instead, they see a pale, slender figure that looks too human to be an animal, but not quite normal enough to be human. Suddenly, the creature lets out a terrifying screech before it starts rushing straight toward the camera. And finally, we have a creepy video from TikTok. A couple had been hiking through the woods at night in Ohio when they noticed a pair of eyes peeking out at them from the tree line. At first, they thought it might just be a deer, but as they kept watching, they realized something wasn't quite right about this thing. The way the eyes were moving and the fact that deer usually are the ones running off, not tailing people, made them start to feel uneasy. It seemed like whatever this thing was, it was following them. The creature never fully shows itself, it's always in the shadows, but some commenters pointed out that the creature's movements are similar to a big cat. Some people also jokingly commented that it could be the Ohio grassman or dogman. Whether it is a cryptid or a predatory animal, though, it would have been terrifying to be in this situation, and in the end, the couple decided to stop filming and just get out of there. What do you do if you saw this thing glaring down at you from an old abandoned building? Two guys were out urban exploring one night when they came across an old rundown building, probably the place they were going to check out. They weren't expecting to find anyone, as the area they were in was pretty desolate, and they didn't come across anyone. Instead, they came across something much worse. Something pops up from the roof, startling the men before leaping to the other side of the roof and perching there, staring down at them. Understandably, the men turn around and run off. The creature looks like your quintessential rake. It's thin, pale, and hairless with glowing eyes. What are your thoughts on this one, though? Let me know down in the comments. This footage here was uploaded to YouTube by Voyager Overland, who'd been out camping back in October when they spotted this. Some sort of weird semi-translucent figure seems to be lurking around their campsite. In the description, the uploader wrote, "On a recent overlanding trip to Ruby Falls and the Alberta Rockies, we captured some late-night footage that is beyond explanation. I have no idea what it was, but it was lurking around our Jeeps during the night. I'm just glad the grandkids did not see this. I don't know if I can ever camp again after seeing this footage that I kept as proof of the unexplained." This video sticks out on the Voyager Overland channel because their videos don't have anything to do with supernatural, generally. They just post camping videos, so it's not like they go out seeking paranormal stuff or creating hoaxes for clicks. From the looks of it, they were just capturing some footage for a regular video, and this thing popped up. If I had to use one word to describe this next video, it would be tense. So a dude is sitting in his car at night in the wilderness. I guess he accidentally fell asleep because he forgot to roll up the window, and from outside we hear animalistic grunting as something is circling around his car, and then we see this. Some commenters say this looks like a mountain lion. I don't know about that. I think at this time of night you'd get a lot more reflection on the eyes, but even if it is a mountain lion, that is still scary. Those yellow eyes. Ugh. It's creepy. Next up, we have our first Sasquatch video on the list. You knew I wasn't going to be able to get through a video like this without having Squatch on here. So this video was captured in Idaho. A dude was driving his four-wheeler when he spotted something running out from the bush and across the road. Now, this video is great, and not because of the supposed creature necessarily, although that is cool, but because the cameraman does something I've never seen anyone else do in one of these supposed Bigfoot videos. Yeah, he turns around and he drives off in a hurry, which is what all of us would do in this situation. He doesn't just sit there and keep filming into the trees trying to capture the thing again. He doesn't say like, "Oh, what was that? Oh, that was big." No, his self-preservation instincts kick in and he just hustles out of there. Just makes the video all the more convincing. What you're looking at there is one of the most famous pieces of cryptid footage, believed by some to be a chupacabra caught on camera. This video was taken on August 8th of 2008, when a police officer named Brandon Rydell in DeWitt County, Texas, filmed something strange running across the road. The creature looks like a hairless coyote with a long snout and big ears, and it's this snout in particular, apparently, that has confused experts because it doesn't quite match anything they're used to seeing in the local area. The video shows the creature darting away from the police car, moving quickly and with a bit of an unusual gait. The footage made the rounds online at the time, and people started connecting it to the famous chupacabra legend, which is known for killing livestock and draining their blood through small triangular puncture wounds. In the years since, this video has become one of the most talked about pieces of evidence when it comes to the creature. Some have suggested that it's just a weird coyote, maybe with mange or some kind of disease, but again, the long snout and its movements don't quite fit the description of any typical animal in the area.
Number 5. Skyquakes. I didn't even know that skyquakes were a thing, so for those of you who don't know, skyquakes are mysterious booms from the sky, but are not thunder, and they are heard all over the world. The mysterious booms sound like cannon fire rumbling down from the sky. Now, they are commonly heard near water, occasionally rattling windows and plates. Now, some have been explained by military aircraft breaking the sound barrier, but that doesn't account for reports of skywakes heard as far back as 1824. Now, scientists have come up with a few likely causes. Near coasts, the booms may be caused by enormous waves crashing against cliffs. Sand dunes are also capable, through unexplained mechanisms, of producing sounds, including on rare occasions, large booms. Other options are meteors generating sonic booms as they speed into the atmosphere, shock waves caused by coronal mass ejections from the sun smashing into the Earth's magnetic field, distant volcano eruptions, far-off thunder redirected through the upper atmosphere, deep earthquakes making noises by cracking the crust, and gas belching up from underground vents beneath the ocean or lake beds. But the fact that it could be so many things without a definite answer is freaky. Number 4. The Belgian UFO wave. The Belgian UFO wave began in November 1989. Reports were filed many weeks after the event. Now, many of the reports related a large object flying at low altitude. Some reports also stated that the craft was a flat, triangular shape with lights underneath. The Belgian UFO wave peaked with the events of the night of March 30th to 31st, 1990. On that night, one unknown object was tracked on radar, and 2 Belgian Air Force F-16s were sent to investigate, with neither pilot reporting seeing the object. No reports were received from the public on that date, but over the next 2 weeks, reports from 143 people who claimed to have witnessed the object were received, all of them after the event. Over the ensuing months, many others claimed to have witnessed these events as well. Following the incident, the Belgian Air Force released a report detailing the events of that night. Members of the waiver gendarmerie who had been sent to confirm the original report described 4 lights now being arranged in a square formation, all making short, jerky movements before gradually losing their luminosity and disappearing in 4 separate directions at around 1:30 a.m. Number 3. Forest Grove Sound. In 2016, a high-pitched noise was heard intermittently at night in Forest Grove, Oregon. The Department of Forestry determined that their equipment was not the cause of the sound, and the Washington Post described the noise as sounding like a giant flute playing off pitch, car brakes, or a steam whistle. NBC News described it as akin to a bad one-note violin solo broadcast over a microphone with non-stop feedback. It reportedly lasted from 10 seconds to several minutes at a time. The noise occurred near Gales Creek Road. Neither the City of Forest Grove Public Works Department nor the fire department were able to explain the noise. According to NW Natural, there were no problems with gas lines in the Forest Grove at the time. In February 2016, Andrew Dodds, a professor of physics at Pacific University, mapped the locations where the noise had been heard, although the results were inconclusive and did not suggest a single location. Throughout February 2016, approximately 200 calls were made to the Forest Grove Police Department, according to Captain Mike Herb, who said that most of the calls were suggesting explanations for the sound, ranging from frogs to aliens to Bigfoot. In late February 2016, 2016, the Forest Grove Police Department announced via Facebook that the noise did not pose a safety hazard, and that the police announced that they were halting their investigation until further information appeared. However, after February 2016, the noise was not heard again. Number 2. UFO photograph. A photo taken in St. Paris, Champaign County in 1932 is considered one of the earliest possible photographs of a UFO ever recorded. It shows George Sutton, a local resident, and what appears to be a classic UFO-shaped object over his left shoulder. Skeptics say the object is simply a street lamp, but according to the folklore that surrounds this image, there were no electric streetlights along this road in 1932, nor are any wires or poles visible in the image. The photo is also intriguing because it predates the flying saucer craze of the late 1940s and 50s. It was taken before the alleged Roswell UFO crash in 1947 and 6 years prior to the broadcast of the War of the Worlds in 1938, when some people believed that aliens were attacking Earth. In other words, the person who took this photograph either captured a street lamp, a real UFO, or was way ahead of the curve in terms of pulling a good hoax. But I'd like to think it's a real UFO. And coming in at number 1 is Marfa lights. Yellow orbs like lamp-lit basketballs hover and twinkle and at times gyrate over the shrubby high desert ground in the shadows of the Chinandé Mountains. They appear in the darkness south of US 90 between Alpine and Marfa. Journalist Michael Hall wrote about seeing the Marfa lights in a June 2006 story in Texas Month. Yellowish white lights that glowed, faded, disappeared, and returned in different places. Sometimes they changed colors, other times they split apart. I couldn't tell if they were 10 miles away or 100, the size of a car or a house. Now just about everyone in Marfa and many who have visited have a story like that. Now no one really knows the answer to these lights, but some believe it is the ghost of Apache Chief Alasti who allegedly haunts the area. Other claims it's space aliens trying to contact us or the ghosts of Spanish conquistadors. Number 10. Backyard aliens. In late April of this year, Las Vegas police officers investigated reports of 2 unknown entities falling from the sky, and on the same night a nearby resident called 911 to report something 100% not human on their property. According to authorities, a man called 911 to report 2 unknown entities in his backyard after he and his family saw a similar object fall from the sky. The man described the creatures as 8 to 10 feet tall beings that appear to be like aliens with big mouths, big shiny eyes, and added that they're 100% not human. They were looking right at him and his family from their backyard, and he kept clarifying that it was not a joke and that he was terrified of whatever was lurking in the dark. While initially open for several days, the department has since closed the case. The family said officials returned to the home over several days to investigate. Representatives from nearby Creech and Nellis Air Force bases said they were not involved in the incident and suggested contacting the Metro Police. A spokesperson for the Pentagon did not immediately respond to questions regarding this event. So who knows what they truly saw? Number 9. Strange lights. Since the 1940s and possibly even earlier, there have been a strange light phenomenon observed in the Hessdalen Valley, Norway. The spectacle has a form of white or yellow light of unknown origin standing or floating above ground level. Between 1981 and 1984, the lights were observed up to 20 times per week, but have drastically reduced in frequency since then, about 10 to 20 times per year. Now why the decrease all of a sudden? No one knows, and no one knows where the lights come from, but UFO enthusiasts took this as a sign that the valley was a portal to other worlds. Now it wasn't just conspiracy theorists that were interested in this, as the strange bursts of light in the 1980s attracted physicists too, interest piqued by the idea of some unexplained natural phenomenon. In the decades since, scientists have determined the glow likely comes from air turned into plasma, and despite ongoing research and numerous working hypotheses, there is no convincing explanation of the origin of these lights, and it seems like it will always be a mystery. Number 8. Cities in the sky. On April 21st, 2017, the citizens from China were awestruck to see an image of a sky floating in the clouds. This phenomena had happened years before in 5 different locations in China, but there was still no clear clarification on how or why this happens. On April 21st, 2017, the citizens from China were awestruck to see the image of a city floating in the clouds. This phenomenon had also happened years before in 5 different different locations in China, but there was still no clear clarification on how or why this happens. Some scientists came up with different theories, such as aliens attempting to cross from a different dimension, the second coming of Christ, or is it the image of the holographic test by the Chinese government? Another possible explanation is the infrequent weather event called Fata Morgana, where the light that passes through heat waves causes a duplication effect. However, that seemed unlikely because the image on the sky didn't match the skyline below it. Number 7. The Tunguska Incident. The Tunguska Incident was an approximately 12 megaton explosion that occurred near the Tuska River in Russia on the morning of June 30th, 1908. A massive fireball dashed to the ground before exploding about 6 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and this explosion slaughtered a lot of animals and completely crushed the surrounding forest. It even sent a hot shockwave for miles. Now, some scientists believe that the fireball was an asteroid. However, the biggest mystery in this event was that the massive explosion left no crater and no meteor material that can be found to be examined. Others say that the object which blasted into the sky was composed of ice, and that's why it left no debris, and the Tunguska event is the largest impact event on Earth in recorded history, though much larger impacts occurred in prehistoric times. An explosion of this magnitude would be capable of destroying a large metropolitan area. It has been mentioned numerous times in popular culture and has also inspired real-world discussion of asteroid impact avoidance. Number 6. The Phoenix Lights. The Phoenix Lights were a series of widely sighted unidentified flying objects observed in the sky over the southwestern states of Arizona and Nevada on March 13, 1997. Lights of varying descriptions were seen by thousands of people between 7:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. in a space of about 300 miles from the Nevada line, Phoenix, to the edge of Tucson. Some witnesses described seeing what appeared to be a huge carpenter square-shaped UFO containing 5 spherical lights. There were 2 distinct events involved in the incident: a triangular formation of lights seen to pass over the state, and a series of stationary lights seen in the Phoenix area. Now, this wasn't the only time the lights were seen there, as many reports of strange lights over the state in 2007 and 2008 also happened. This event has since become one of the most notorious UFO sightings in history.
Number 5. The Last Hike. Dalen Kaloa went missing during a hike on the infamous Haiku Stairs, also known as the Stairway to Heaven. Ironically enough, on the morning of February 27th, 2015, Dalen told his family that he planned to hike this dangerous illegal trail. Now, throughout the hike, he sent several photos to his family, but in one image, they noticed something quite strange in the background. They noticed an unidentified man just standing there, almost lurking, watching his every moves. Dalen never returned, and despite extensive searches, he was never found. So now, of course, his family is seeking the public's help to identify this man in the background of the photo, believing, of course, that he might hold vital information that could lead to Dalen's whereabouts. This haunting mystery remains unsolved, leaving many to wonder, could this unidentified man provide the key to uncovering what happened that day? Or even worse, was this man responsible? Number 4. Battleground Ghost. In 1862, 3 major battles were fought in what now is the Maryland section of the Appalachian Trail. Now, the sheer number of casualties in these battles of course create an eerie atmosphere, with many soldiers losing their lives on that land. Today, hikers report seeing ghostly soldiers, strange campfires, and even hearing cannon blasts echoing in the distance, almost as if the spirits of the fallen soldiers are still present. Now, one haunting site is near the farm of Daniel Wise. Visitors to the area have claimed to see ghostly figures wandering the land, adding to the chilling history of this part of the trail. This photo here was taken in May 2015 in that exact same spot. Do you believe this is a ghost from a civil battle? Comment down below. What do you think this is? Number 3. Halloween Ghost. Captured, of course, on Halloween Day 2023, this eerie image shows what appears to be a ghostly figure, a ghostly white figure clinging onto an old tree. Now, the form is faint, almost human, not quite, but almost there, and it's blurred, and the low quality makes it seem like it's drifting between this world and another. It raises the question, could it be a simple trick of light with the sun casting strange shadows through the branches? Perfectly explainable? Or is this someone or something who has quietly been watching from the shadows all along, only now revealing itself to those who look closely? This looks a lot like something I saw when I was younger. I always wondered if I saw a ghost or if I was just seeing things. Now I'm starting to think it's the former. Number 2, headless deer. Like something straight out of a dark fairy tale, this image captures a deer that, well, seems to be missing its head, doesn't it? Wandering the forest with an eerie sense of purpose. Perhaps, where's my head? Maybe that's a good purpose, trying to find that. Its disembodied form stirs an unsettling feeling, as if it's lost, aimlessly drifting through the woods, haunting anyone who crosses its path. Now, I know this is most likely an illusion, but the way the deer's angled, I'll be honest, I really can't see how its head can be positioned in order for this to happen. Imagine seeing this on your trail cam one morning. Ugh, I would be sick. And finally, number 1, Mount St. Helens. On May 18th, 1980, David A. Johnston, a dedicated volcanologist, stood over Mount St. Helens, aware of the growing signs of unrest. Now, given the date of this photo, you can probably guess what happens next. This was 13 hours before the devastating eruption, and he made his last transmission over the radio. He said, "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it." And he was not wrong. Those haunting words echoed into silence as the volcano did erupt, sending ash and destruction all across the landscape. Now, despite extensive search efforts, David's remains were never found, except for this photo, which of course leaves behind a chilling reminder of nature's unpredictable power and the sacrifices made, all in the name of science.